started. And I think we're just gonna go ahead and jump into it. Hi guys, my name is Cecilia Hemley. I am your product owner for the Drupal platform here at Tyler Technologies. And as I mentioned, we have Ryan Cox and Duncan LeBlanc here on the call. They're from the Tyler team and here to support any questions that you may have.
Hello, everyone.
With your permission, I'm going to share my screen. This is the same session that we have been offering since October last year. So if you have any questions, please just pop them in the chat. And if you wanted to share your question aloud, just make sure that you just raise your hand and we will call on you. This presentation will be made available on the cms.colorado.gov website. And we just ask that you take space. Make sure that you ask the questions that you have. This is already 9 months or more than that that we've been doing this. So if you have any questions that we can answer about features or functionalities, please jump in. Alrighty. So again, this is what we hope to do today. So again, if we cover all of these things, that's wonderful. But if you have questions, we will play it by ear. So with your permission, I'm going to switch over to my cms.colorado.gov. If you guys are following along, I'm going to place this chat in this URL in the chat so that you could follow along. Good morning, Trey. So again, this is what we're going to be using for training, and make sure that you reference this website if you have any questions. We also have some links here to leave feedback and to ask us specific items. So we're happy to engage with you through this. So again, the first thing that we want to do is to make sure that the users are able to log on to their website. And again, you have to log on. If you're assigned 12 or 13 websites, like some of our users, it is a multi-site on this platform. Each website is assigned a subdomain and a domain. So for each one of those, you will need to authenticate. In order for you to do that, you want to enter the URL, and towards the end, you want to enter the term user. When you hit return, it will take you to this login page. We are leveraging the Google single sign-on integration, but if you would prefer a user and password combination, that is also totally fine. So I'm just going to use the user password since I usually use Google single sign-on just to show how this works. If you do not have an account and you are new to a project team or to a web, to your marketing and communications team, or if you've been tasked, the first thing that we need to do is go to the bottom of the page where it says create an account. If you click, tap, or select here, it will take you to the form that you will complete in order to get your account created. Okay, now I already have an account, so I'm going to click back in my environment and go ahead and log in. Once you have created this form, an account will be created, and then the entity project manager or the person who has assigned you to be a content editor will more than likely have the ability to assign the different roles that you need to execute those tasks. And if you have questions about this, I'm happy to send you a link, but it is here in our frequently asked questions. If you do a caret down here, there are user roles. And we also have information about how to send security agreements so that we have clear documentation as to who is allowed to be on the platform. Okay, so again, this is in our frequently asked questions tab. And if you go into this menu, here they are, user roles and user security agreements. Now, in order for me to log in today, I'm going to use user password. I'm going to strike login. And here I am in the back end. Now, it will tell me when my last login is. This is just a little message. It's a kind of like an informational piece, but it is an indicator that you are in the back end. Okay. You will notice now that I have two different menus. These are what we refer to as the main administrative menus. Some people also refer to it as your primary menus. Now, right now, the default is on my particular avatar, my profile. So I have these options right here. Shortcuts is only present to the admin group, so it's not present to you. And then if we click, tap, or select on the manage, all of my modules will populate. Okay. And again, just be mindful that when we are sharing this information with you, we are logged in as ourselves. So you would notice that I have more modules and sub-modules than what you would have. And this is also true for a content editor versus a content manager or a content administrator. So again, they're going to be displayed based on the permissions that you have on your accounts. Okay. Now, this is the long and the short of it. If you wanted to make an edit because you have, I don't know, a name change or something like that, you can always click, tap, or select on the edit tab and execute those. If you are an entity project manager and you're searching for a person on your team, you will click, tap, or select into the people module. Once you are in the people module, you have some parameters that you could leverage here. If you know that the person has not yet been added to and it's a brand new user, you could look at the block users to narrow it down. Alternatively, you could just type in the name and it should filter your results by that term. And here you have two examples. If I click, tap, or select on the edit, it will take me to that screen that is similar to what you saw. And you could just make sure you could just either change the password for them. The two most important functions that we're going to execute within the people module is to change the moderation state of the account from active to block. If the person leaves the team or goes off of assignment, you could just change it to block. We recommend you do not delete user accounts because this user is going to be tied to the content that is created. In addition to that, you will then determine which roles you're going to assign to this particular user. Okay. Now, if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach us at partnersupport@www.colorado.gov, and we're more than happy to schedule an appointment to make sure that if you have to delete users and make sure that the integrity of the site is there, that you delete them in the correct way. Alrighty. Any other questions about people before we move into structure? Okay, I'm going to move along, but stop me if you have questions, okay? Structure is the second, this is where you will find all of your wayfinding, your forms, all of those pieces are housed in the structure module. Now, when I click into the structure module, one of the most frequently leveraged features is that of the main navigation. So when I hover over the structure, I will have this flyout and I can navigate towards menus. However, if you prefer to click into the module, it will be an alphabetical sort. And as you scroll down, you will notice the menus are towards kind of like second half of the page right here. When you click into the menus, you will have a list of all of the menus that you have created on your website. But the one that gets edited the most will be that main navigation at the top of your website. Okay. And from here, you can execute the changes that are requested of you. You can move and just, if you wanted to do the weights, you could just manage the weights. You could just use the 4-directional arrow to move and nest these as dependencies of one another. And you can enable and disable links. Okay. Other than that, in the structure, if you needed for us to change your colors to your website, we are happy to do so. This right here is cms.colorado.gov. I can immediately change the color here. This is a function that is hidden from the structure administrator, but we are happy to change the theming options. And we could do that this quickly. It takes all but one click and a save the configuration, and the change is live. Again, if you have any questions about structure, feel free to reach out. Let me wait for this configuration to change. All righty. It's thinking. It's going to happen. All right, it's taking a long time. Oh, there it goes. So I'm going to go back to the home page to verify that my change stuck. And here we go. All right, so here you see this is the theming of the site. If you have any type of need to change it, we could change this for you as many times as you need it to be changed. So if you have you're editing the home page and making some changes, just feel free to execute the change. Just send us a message and we'll put the color that works for you. A few things right here in this icon card, that's where the training is housed. So if you have questions about what we have talked about in the past, or if you want to just refresh what we have talked about, again, just click in here and you will see the page for training. They're all in here. Okay. Now what I would like to do is get into the meat and potatoes. We know that rows and cards are still present. They are housed in paragraphs, and we're gonna go and do that right now. But before you get to creating content, we recommend that you source all of your images that are legal, that you don't have any hits for copyright infringement. Please just get your images to be free. If you're paying for them, make sure that they're legal. If they're free, make sure that they're legal. So make sure you don't get a hit for copyright infringement. Um, the second thing that we want to advise is that you get all of your PDFs lined up and loaded onto the site before you get to building, because it kind of expedites your process instead of having to go find the image and then add them. And that's why we teach this class in the order in which we teach it. When you click, tap, or select into the content module, you will be presented with the media library. And from the media library, you have these tabs. And I think the most frequently used one is the content. That's why it is the default. It populates first, right? However, before you get into creating content, my advice is that you visit with the media section and you add all of your PDFs and your pretty pictures. I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. If you click, tap, or select on Add Media, you have the ability to enter these right here. Let's start with image. For an image, I could browse my device and I can select an image like so. Once the image is added, again, this is not a good alternative text. However, the amazing staff at the Office of Information Technology have guidelines on how to do, the best practices on alternative text. If you need a link, just raise your hand and I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat for you. The only required items, they're going to be 3. The first one is the asset itself. So you want to upload the asset, the image in this case. You want to provide a title and you want to provide the alternative text. And you want to apply then any formats. If you're thinking of this being a hero crop or a featured image, this is not going to crop the image. It's just going to indicate to the system what to display for the featured crop and for the hero crop. Here we go. We could just expand these boundaries to show a section of this image right here. Again, we ask that you crop your images before inserting them, because the CMS is not a file. It's not an image editor. So we want to make sure that you understand those guidelines and that you go ahead and insert those as they are intended on the site. So again, just make sure that you have those 3 elements. You have the asset, the name, and the alternative text. Those are the 3 items that you need. Then we will ask that you scroll to the bottom. If you wanted to add any notes, these will be available to you. I'm just going to say here for training, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it. However, if you have, I think you guys at AG do this, you have related tags. So if this was related to grants or any particular subject, you can add a tag here. So if this were a tag that you already have, it will populate. So you see, it is just searching the taxonomy for the list of related tags. And there is a tag 10049 that is labeled colorful Colorado, and this will pull when you're searching your content. And I think, Sonia, you and the team leverage related tags. So this is where you will add those related tags. If you need to add or manage the list of related tags, that's a partner support ticket. I'm happy to work with you. Tell me what needs to stay, what needs to be added. We could do that for you. Okay. Now, once you add your revision log, all you will need to do is make sure that the asset is published. Because if you need, it will render, it won't display if the asset is not published. So before you hit save, make sure it is published and save the item. At this point, it will have a few little messages here of the executed tasks, 1, 2, 3, right? And then you will have the thumbnail and the media name. It will tell you the source, if it is either an image, a video, or a document, who authored the piece, and the most recent update. If you wanted to add a file, it will again point to your device. And while you're in there, I think I may have one in CMS. Let me try here. There may be, this is a portable document. There we go. And then we could call this, and you don't have to enter anything else, just enter the title. So when you're adding a document, you will need two items, the asset and the title. You can also leverage your related tags. You can leave a revision log, and you want to make sure it is a published asset so that people are able to see it, and you just want to hit save. And that's that. Now, for the documents, you do not have a thumbnail. But for the images you do, an easier way to narrow down your searching is to use these parameters at the top. What you could do is just look by the type, and it will just filter your results by that category. You have the ability to have up to 50 per page. And if you have more than 50 at the bottom, you're going to have pagination that will allow you to progress through your results after you filter them. So thumbs up. Are we good with media library? I guess so. Alrighty. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is content, because after we have added our images and we have added our files, we're ready to go ahead and get those pages ready for review or just to be published, right? So when you click tap or select on the content module, right? Again, we're going to click tap or select into the content module. We will be presented with a media library. And from the media library, again, we mentioned that the content is the default because it is the most frequently used. Another thing to note is that when you have your table of results, you have all of these headers that you can leverage to sort your data. Okay. The default is going to be updated because we would like for you to have the most recent edit information at the top. Okay. And you could then from here, you have some functions that you can execute. We ask that you are extremely careful with deleting the content, because once the content has been deleted from the server, we are not able to restore these pages for you. Okay. So again, if you need to delete a mass amount of pages, let us know and we can help you out. Okay. But if you feel confident that this is the page that does not need to be on the site, just go ahead and delete it. That is also true for your files and for your media assets. Once they are deleted, they are gone. If you do delete a file and you have the 15-minute cache and it is still showing, send me the file item and I can double check with our Drupal development team to make sure that they look into the server to see that the asset has actually been removed. But again, after you have your 15-minute cache, when you go to locate the asset, it should not be there. It is super deleted. We cannot retrieve it. So be very mindful when you are deleting content. You can always change the moderation state from that of published into draft or archive, and it will return access denied. Once an asset is deleted, it will return page not found, which is the expected behavior. Any questions about that so far? A few things that are consistent with this display is that you have the 50 items. You could reduce the amount if you needed to see fewer items, but then you have the pagination at the bottom. You have the ability to execute those bulk changes. And that is also true for tabs like your files. It is a similar display in which you have a table that could be arranged by these headers. You have some parameters at the top that you can leverage to narrow down your searches. And that is also true for blocks. The blocks will be anything that you are creating that you want to reuse. We invite you to explore blocks. If you wanted to do a separate conversation all about blocks, it is repeatable content that you could reference over and over in different places on your website. So you don't have to do that editing all the time. And it will create a node. So each one of these has a node and it will be referenced. And there's different types of blocks that you can create. Even an open embed, if you have a video that you want to have displayed on 4 pages at the same time, don't worry about doing it on every page. Create a block and then reference the block. Okay, if you have a use case, a business case for that, we're happy to help you out with that. But back to the content. Now we see that all of the displays are similar when you are within the media library. What we want to do is just take a look at these. You could sort, you could filter by these, which are the available content types. You can always sort or filter by the moderation status. And you can always search content by the authoring, not the person who last updated it, but the authoring. And I will show that in a second. But again, if we don't have any questions at this point, are we doing good, Ryan? I guess so.
There are a couple of questions in the chat. First one, to add related tags or create a new one, would we contact partner support?
No, you could, so that is a wonderful question, because when you are adding the related tag, if it is not created and you strike return, it's going to create it for you. So right here, if I go into like the laptop computer, if I wanted to edit this, it will give me the same display, right? And here at the bottom, you see how it's giving me a second line? I can remove it from the asset, but if I wanted to add a new label, you could just say laptop, and because it is searching and nothing is retrieved from this, you see that orb is not moving anymore. When I hit return, it will process it and it's adding it. Okay, now in the taxonomy, there is a list, and I know that this is not present for you guys, but it is an admin function, and we're more than happy to do that. But when you go into the taxonomy, you could look at your related terms, and those are going to be related tags right here. So from this list of related tags, the one that I just added that was a laptop, that is it makes no sense. Once it refreshes, I could go ahead and delete it. But this is the list that I was referring to. So if you have leveraged something like Rocky Mountain National Park, and you had an entire category that you are using and you don't want to use it anymore, what I would do is I will go into the list, and then I have these functions here to add a child or delete it, and I could delete it for you. Okay, so the creation of the tags is open for the content editors, managers, and administrators, the people who are able to add the content to the media library. Okay. For deleting them, send us a partner support that indicates these terms no longer need to be there, and I'll go ahead and clean it up for you. You could tell ours is super cluttered because every time we come up with something that we want to do, we just keep it in there. I'll go and clean it up. But this is where it is. It's in structure. Do we have any additional questions?
I think we're good. Sonia did have something that it sounds like could be handled over partner support. So I just directed Sonia to partner support for that.
Okay.
So if anyone else has anything else like that, definitely reach out to partner support so that we can review that.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. And if we have time after I show this, we could circle back and see if there is anybody else who wants this question answered. But now that we have seen that in the media library, we have consistent displays with bulk actions and operations, let's go ahead and create some content. You will click tap or select this pill menu. It's a blue button that says add content, and you will have all of the different content types that are available in an alphabetical sort. Right? The most popular one by far is the basic page. So we're going to click, tap, or select on basic page, and it will take us to the add node page. So this node doesn't have a number quite yet because we're still creating it. But we wanted to point out that the node is that numerical value that is assigned to everything from users to blogs to media, and it is how the database organizes its content. And that allows us to make connections between different content types, right? Or different assets. I can link a media node to a basic page node, and I can make those references. So when we are working with our URL redirects, that's a question that we get often in the partner support. We want to make sure that first we redirect node to node, and then we take care of the orphan URL aliases by redirecting those to the new node. And again, I'm just saying that so that it makes sense when we are creating an asset here. It says add page. I don't know. I'm feeling very grateful today. Did I spell that right? All right. The key is I cannot speak another language before I speak to you, because then I can't think in this language. So I'm just going to go to the lorem ipsum, and I'm going to grab some placeholder text right here, just for the example. And one thing that I ask is that you don't copy and paste. Now, Carrie from OEdit had some wonderful feedback for us, and it's that she's been using hotkeys forever in Drupal. And she's been using Drupal even longer than I have. So one of the hotkeys that she shared was the paste without format. We also have that in our 10 tips and tricks on the CMS website. But if you are not familiar with those hotkeys, you could just indicate with your right click to paste without the format. Okay, this is also true for when you're sourcing your images. We invite you, that's why we don't speak much about copying and pasting anything. We invite you to source your images, upload them to the media library so that they have that node, and then you reference them onto your secondary nodes, like your basic pages, your layouts, all of those, right? So again, just seasoned people who have been doing Drupal for a long, long time, paste without format. And if our devs, you ask them, paste without format. Images, do not paste images because it causes loads of issues and it hits your performance to your site. So again, you could do a Control-Shift-V as in victory to paste without format. I'm going to execute it, not that you can see my hotkeys, but you could do a right click with your mouse, depending on your specific browser. And from there, just make sure that you are pasting without the format. Okay. Now, a few things we always share here. Let's do a sample link to media. And then what's the other one? A sample link to a file. And then the last thing we're going to show here is a sample link as a button. All right, so the first one, we reference the media items that are in the library. And one of the content types that we have in there is a document. So if I wanted to have an anchor text, a link within my paragraph, I'm going to highlight the anchor text. And there are guidelines about utilizing anchor text. The Office of Information Technology is a subject matter expert on all things accessibility. And I could put in, it's oit.colorado.gov. They have a page that has all of the guidelines for web content creation and stuff like that. So again, if you have questions about how to select your anchor text, just make sure they have a little bit of runway, okay? But again, I'll leave it to them to give you the deets on all of the accessibility best practices. You could execute a Control K as in kilogram, and it will populate this option for you. Alternatively, you could just highlight it and go into your WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get menu on the CK Editor 5, and select this option. From here, we said we were going to add an item from the media library. So when I start to search, I give it a second, you see how it is searching with that little orb? All of the content and all of the files that have keyword sample are going to populate. Okay? So you see that we have we have images that we can link to, we have documents that we can link to, we also have content that has already been created. This could be a basic page, it could be I don't know, it could be an event, layouts, right? In this particular instance, what we want to do is to link it to a document. And this portable document right here is the one that we're going to link out to, right? Now, if I wanted to apply alternate advanced features, I could do that here, such as opening in a new window. I think that's a target blank deal that we try to get. Now, if we wanted to link to a file, not the media node. This is a conversation that we always have because if you wanted to have versioning, you can create the node and then have the ability to link different versions of that particular item to the node. So it is sort of like a container that holds content. And for that, you wanted to do a different type of linking. So if I'm doing this one here and I do lorem ipsum, this is the file itself, and it will point to sites.cms files, which is pointing out to the server, right? So it's the file, it's not the container that holds the file. All right, and if I wanted this to open in another window, there is this toggle. Just make sure to strike the little green check mark. That is what is going to save your link. And then this one right here, I'm just going to let's do, this is CMS, let's do demo. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. And it was searching, but it doesn't have anything to search because this is the absolute path. And I'm going to create a button. So I'm going to keep my anchor text highlighted or selected. And then I'm going to navigate to the second icon on my WYSIWYG. This is just the full screen if you were curious. We have a full screen version here. But the second one on your WYSIWYG is your styles. And we're just going to take this link that we have implemented and we're going to turn that into a button. Now, if you wanted to know what these styles refer to on demo, these are the colors right here. So you guys know I always do a green one. This time I'm going to do default because that's the color and I have to switch it up. So let me find here. I think it's this one. Is it? I think so. So that is my link. If I wanted to have it be rounded or extra large, I could layer different styles onto the same button. And that's that. Now, this is the body, and the body will stack on top of the rows and cards. If you wanted to add rows, this is the display. I know that there is some concern and confusion, but after our most recent update, this is what the core display looks like. This is Drupal core. We're on 10.3.1. So again, I know change is very different, but we just want to invite you to explore and play around with these until you get familiar. This is just how it is displayed at this point. From here, we have a drop down. So you will chevron down and select your option for column, and then you will tell the system you want to add this row. The default would be the basic row, but we can remove this. I can confirm the removal. I could select a basic page. I could just drop my lorem ipsum. If I wanted to add a map card, again, all of the functionality remains. The only thing that is changed is the display. I do understand that the labels of the rows are not present, but this is again how core has it displayed for us. So we appreciate your feedback. It's just a matter of this is how Drupal 10.3.1 is displayed for us. So you have your row, you still have functionality that you can add here. Not functionality, formatting. I apologize for that. Not functionality, but formatting for your rows. So for instance, if I wanted to add a background color, I still have the ability to add a border, manage the width, and add a title. The card, the WYSIWYG is the same. There is a plugin that is coming on the next release of the first week of October to replace your fonts, families, and font sizes. Again, thank you so much for your feedback, but the add-on is coming on our next release. It was QA'd and tested in both development and test, and it should be out in our next release, which is at the beginning of next month. But again, just wanted to let you know the ellipses menu is no longer. It is presenting as a pill menu, but the functionality remains the same. And from here, I can indicate to create the row. And again, the labels is different. I know that this is different, but the functionality that used to be an ellipses, a vertical ellipses menu is now displayed as a pill menu. And I do not have, this has changed a little bit. I do have a chevron for a drop down, and I could tell the system to add a new row. A few things that remain the same is you want to make sure that you look at your moderation state. In this instance, we're going to publish it. We do understand that the preview function is currently, it's a known issue that we are fixing. So we will have a fix for the preview not displaying shortly. Again, we're aware of that. I really appreciate your feedback. This is what we want. We want partner support to inform how we can improve this platform for you. And yes, we are aware that the preview is not displaying the changes. Therefore, it's not non-functional. At this point, I'm going to change the moderation status to save, to publish, and I am going to save. And now you will see that the URL will display the node, which is the numerical value of this one once I am back into the edit. This asset, the node number is 12386. If I were to execute a redirect. I will redirect first node to node. And then when I look at the page itself, Grateful will be hanging out. So I want to take Grateful and do a redirect from Grateful to my new destination. Do we have any questions? We're at half of the hour. Brian, how's the chat going? We're 45 minutes in.
The chat's good. There's nothing in the chat question-wise.
Okay, so here is that button. Thank you so much. Here is the target, open a new window, and these are the rowing card with the silver in the background. Now, we do understand that the layout content type is still freezing when it is, so it is a known issue and we are fixing that issue. So we're going to attempt to create a layout, understanding that the known issue might be present, but it wouldn't be ready for deployment until our next release. Okay, so a few things. The main navigation did change in the month of July. That was a while back. If you have any questions or if you are generating more links, just go ahead and send us a partner support ticket so that we can have a look and see if you have flyouts and these flyouts need to be configured. Okay, so if you add a new link to your menu and it's looking a little bit weird, shoot me a message and I could just go into the configuration. I'm going to show you what it looks like because it is not present to you, but it is what I would do. Okay, and this is total transparency. There is this little edit feature right here to configure the TBMM. And I go in and I make sure that if you have any flyouts like this one, this sub-menu is wrapped in this width. And that's all it is. Okay, so if you add any menu links from your structure and it's not looking good, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to fix it for you. Alrighty, we have 15 minutes. We're going to attempt to create a layout. I'm going to click tap or select into the content module. Then I'm going to go down to the pill menu that says add content. And from this alphabetical list, I am going to click tap or select on the layouts. Now, again, we understand that layouts is the old Drupal term for templates, but this is layout content type. And I know it is just confusing that we use that word a bunch, but this is the content type named layouts. From the layouts, oops, I think I might have had that. You see, I am running out of titles. After 4.5 years, I'm running out of titles, guys. Alrighty, so I'm going to go back and grab some lorem ipsum, just some placeholder, and I'm going to populate that in the body. This is the body of the layout content type, and just like you would with rows and cards, which are housed into the paragraphs, this will reach the top of your layout. The difference is that you can move things around here in sections and blocks, and I will share that with you in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and paste without formatting with a hotkey, and then I'm going to paste without format using my right-click functions. Okay, so this is all it is. A few things that we haven't talked about much is we have font awesome icons here that you can leverage. You can add it, and then here, it just occurred to me yesterday that I haven't talked to you about this, but you have the ability to place it within, and you can play with it if you wanted to leverage a font awesome icon. It will be here. Okay. In addition to that, there was another thing that I had not mentioned to y'all. I think it was trying to figure out if it was the format stripper. I think that was it, right, Duncan? We were talking about how I always forget to show this. I think so.
I believe that's the one.
Yes. After every meeting, guys, I talked to, it's like I didn't show this to them. Okay. Thank you, Duncan. So you see that this little, I applied text format here in the fashion of making it bold, right? If you wanted to strip that format, you would notice that there is a little T in italics that is remove format. And in 4.5 years, I've known that this is here and I'm like, oh, I think they know what it is, but I never tell you. So there you go. You can remove the format right there. without having to go into the source and find the thing and remove it. You can just strip it from there. I think there was another thing, Duncan, that I said I was going to show them. Was it the quote? Oh man, I can't remember. But I think it was the quote. So I'm going to take a little bit of content. I think it was the quote, right? It's right here, this one. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
quote.
yes, that was it. That was it.
Okay. All right. I'm making a list of the things that I always forget. And thank goodness for Duncan, because he will remind me to remember to show you the next time. So we do have other things here in the WYSIWYG. Again, the font families and the font sizes are coming on the next release. They have been QA'd and they're ready for release. Okay. So again, we have Font Awesome. We have upload from your device. We could create anchors. You can do all sorts of things here. Just play with it. And if you have any questions, do let me know. Again, this is the layout content type, and the default for the URL is to pull from the title. This is the same experience we had in rows and cards. However, if you have a title that has multiple terms and it will become a very long URL phrase, you could deselect the generation of URLs. This is the default to automatically generate the URL aliases. However, if you wanted to do a numerical value or just an acronym, I know that Justice DCJ does acronyms. So if you wanted to do whatever works for your team, just go ahead and deselect the automatic creation of aliases to meet your agency's need. In this particular instance, we're going to keep it as is. The authoring information that we spoke about before is here. My user node is 221. So that's why all of the content created by Cecilia, that's my node, that's the date stamp. And then here, we're going to make sure that it is published. Okay. Now you would notice that on the layout content type, I don't have anything like rows and cards or display or anything. This is just the body. Once I strike save, my menus are going to be displayed. Okay. You see this ribbon. This right here is that quote, the font awesome. When I go into edit, I will be able to do all of these at the top. I can even click back into my layouts and I can start to build with my sections and my blocks. You will see that the node is 12396/layout. That is just the node. When I go back, it will say good vibes. But again, this is different from rows and cards because it is a different content type altogether. The solid blue line, I'm going to reduce my display so that you can see. I apologize for doing this, but the solid blue line is indicating the content that will display to the end user. The dashed line is going to indicate the section, and then the dotted line is going to indicate blocks. Okay, when at the bottom, if I click add a section, I have the ability to determine the number of columns that my section will have. If I say 2 columns, it will then allow me to distribute the weight of those. Let us say I want one that is 1/3 and 2/3. I could determine that here. I'm going to say section title. And here is where I could change the headers. When I go into this title wrap, I could change it from an H1 to an H2 or whatever the use case is for this one. I can also change the position and it to be centered as they are right now, or I could just leave it to the left. And then I could change the color to, let us say, blue. And then I can determine if I want to show it to the end user or not. At this point, I'm going to add a section. I'm going to scroll down. You will see that I have unsaved changes, right? In order for me to save my changes, I want to save layout, and it is not at the bottom left like I have been telling you for 4 years and a half. It's at the top left. Okay, so you want to save your layout different than you save your rows and cards. Don't look for it at the bottom. So there it is. Good vibes. I'm going to go back into my layouts, and you will see that I have the revisions. So the 2 changes that we have executed are still going to be present here. Okay, I'm going to go back to my normal size. I'm going to go into my layouts and we're going to execute a few more changes so that you can see how this thing works. Here you notice that we have the dashed line is for the blocks and then the sections, and then you have the ability to add different blocks here. So let us see if we can add an icon. For this particular icon, we're going to say icon block. We're going to display the title for this example. We're going to scroll to the bottom and let us just say book. And you would notice that on the right-hand side, it is searching the Phantasm library for the icon. And then let us say that I did an open book. I believe I did an open book on the other one. I could change the position of the icon to be any of these. Let's do above. And for the link, let's just say, I'm just going to start to type platform and see if I have platform release notes. And then for background color, let's do something purpley. We can give it a border. Let's just go ahead and add the block. As I scroll to the bottom, well, you notice here that it says that you have unsaved changes. This is going to be consistent every single time you make edits because it wants you to save your edits. Okay, so this is the same icon I believe I used in the body. Here it is. Here, if I wanted to add a different type of block, you could do that by clicking here. Let's just add a basic block. And on this one, I believe I have something here on my notepad. For this one, we're not going to add a background, but let us just see if we could do a rounded border and a shadow. This is kind of random, but let's add the block. I want the title. Basic block. And for the example, I'm going to display the title, and there you have it. It has a little bit of a little bevel on the round. The one thing that is very helpful is that you can move the blocks around. So for instance, if you wanted to move this block within its own section, that is something that you can do, but you can also move it different from rows and cards that are confined to the paragraph. You could take them out of the paragraph and move it up and down. And that is true to every one of these sections. Again, if you wanted to pull in blocks that you already have, those will be listed here. So any of these blocks you could just add. And then here, just remember, you see how it's putting it right there? That is so weird. You can remove the block. You see how it says that the action cannot be undone. But at this point, I want to do the third save. You will see that the revision logs are still present, just like with rows and cards. And you can go back into your layout and you can continue to make edits here. Do we have any questions? I know we're almost to 10:50, which is where I wanted to open it up for questions or conversation. Alrighty, so this concludes the content we wanted to share with y'all. I'm just gonna make sure, keep us honest. Relocated layouts, editing from the media library. Do you have any additional questions that I can answer for you? Yes.
Hi, Cecilia. I'm just wondering on this, with layouts, I'm just now starting to kind of get into it because I know on rows and cards, you can't break up content vertically and have smaller chunks and laid out vertically next to a long column, left to right. You have to break it out horizontally. And so with layouts down below, when you're adding blocks, do they have to be icon cards or anything of that specific nature? Or am I able to just kind of break up the page where on the left-hand side, items can fit vertically?
Yeah, if I understand what let me do one for you so that you can see that. Oops. So you can add multiple ones like here, and then even so, you can add another one over here. So it's not restricting you to only having one. So you could have, based on the height of the container, you could stack multiples. Let us say you wanted to put a map right here, right? You could continue to stack things And let's just give it a color so that we can see it. This is really random, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you had another block, you could just continue to stack them. And again, you can always take this, say that somebody says, no, I don't like that, how that's looking. Let's just move it around. So you could continue to move things around. And even from this section, Francie, you could just pop it up. Just know that when you're moving it, the distribution of your columns will remain the same.
Yes. Okay.
So what I would do, Francie, is I will get a blank layout, and I will put a single column, 2 columns, 3 columns, and do some different things so that I could take the content, just put the items in and then move them around so that I think, you know, this is ready for review or whatever. Or if you are the reviewer who's approving it, you can move things after your staff has put in something, right? Just by adding additional sections with different distribution of rows. So you can move things freely.
Okay. Thank you.
Anytime. Do we have any additional questions? We have about 7 minutes left, guys.
There is one that was just put in the chat, Cecilia. Is there any update on when the page preview will be working again? We have to publish changes since the last update without seeing them.
Yes. That is in review, I believe. I don't have a dev on the call right now, but we have that on the to-do because it is one of the items that is non-functional, and you have to commit the save, so it is totally non ideal. The situation is not ideal, but it should be running through the cycle. I think the fix is in dev and it will be in test soon, so we could move it over to prod. Does that answer? Oh, save as draft is an experience that is unique for when you have users. Yes, that should be operational. Is that the last thing that I saw come in?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, so if you save your draft will have the items present, right? But there is an experience when you guys have editors and you're not an admin like me, I'm just pushing the change, but there is a scenario in which a editor will put something and they will save it, and it will be separate from the latest view. And that is something that will still be retained. What is not functional is the preview at the bottom of the page, because when it is showing, it's not showing the most recent version, and that is what is broken. There's two different. It is two different issues in the sense that the edits that have been put in when you're editing are not carrying to the preview of the UI. They're only seen in the rows and cards. And when you go into the preview, which is that review version of the UI, it's not carrying over. So that's a different. It's a different path. It's not like the draft. Two separate issues. That is correct. Mm-hmm. Any additional questions? If not, I really appreciate you guys being here. If you have any staff members that need refresher training, just point them to this. The links are going to be on cms.colorado.gov. This recording will be put onto the website shortly. I do apologize. The most recent one, I don't think I was in the office, or I have to put it up there. So I'm missing one training session from the last 2 weeks, and I will make that available to y'all. Again, thank you so much for being here. If you have anything else, I'm going to stay for the next 5 minutes, but if not, have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Duncan.
Of course.
Looks like it's just us.
Then let me stop recording. Have a good day, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you.